Alpha Status, Dominance and Division of Labor in Wolf Packs. David L. Metch. In Canadian Journal of Zoology, published by Northern Prairie Wildlife Research Center Online, 1999. Introduction. Wolf, Canis lupus, packs have long been used as examples in descriptions of behavioral relationships among members of social groups. The subject of social dominance in alpha status has gained considerable prominence, and the prevailing view of a wolf pack is that a group of individuals ever vying for dominance but held in check by the alpha pair, the alpha male, and the alpha female. Most research on the social dynamics of wolf packs, however, has been conducted on wolves in captivity. These captive packs were usually composed of an assortment of wolves from various sources placed together and allowed to breed at will. This approach apparently reflected the view that in the wild, pack formation starts with the beginning of winter, implying some sort of annual assembling of independent wolves. In captive packs, the unacquainted wolves formed dominance hierarchies, featuring alpha, beta, omega animals, etc. With such assemblages, these dominance labels were probably appropriate, for most species thrown together in captivity would usually so arrange themselves. In nature, however, the wolf pack is not such an assemblage. Rather, it is usually a family including a breeding pair and their offspring of the previous 1 to 3 years, or sometimes 2 or 3 such families. Occasionally, an unrelated wolf is adopted into a pack, or a relative of one of the breeders is included, or a dead parent is replaced by an outside wolf, and an offspring of opposite sex from the newcomer may then replace its parent and breed with a step-parent. Nevertheless, these variations are exceptions, and the pack, even in these situations, consists of a pair of breeders and their young offspring. The pack functions as a unit year-round. As offspring begin to mature, they disperse from the pack as young as 9 months of age. Most disperse when 1 to 2 years old, and few remain beyond 3 years. Thus, young members constitute a temporary portion of most packs, and the only long-term members are the breeding pair. In contrast, captive packs often include members forced to remain together for many years. Attempting to apply information about the behavior of assemblages of unrelated captive wolves to the familial structure of natural packs has resulted in considerable confusion. Such an approach is analogous to trying to draw inferences about human family dynamics by studying humans in refugee camps. The concept of the alpha wolf as a top dog ruling a group of similar-aged compatriots is particularly misleading. Because wolves have been persecuted for so long, they have been difficult to study in the wild, and therefore information about the social interactions among free-living wolf pack members has accumulated slowly. Little is known about the interactions between breeding males and breeding females under natural conditions, and about the role of each in the pack and how dominance relates to these relationships. A few people have observed the social behavior of wild wolves around dens, but Murray gave an anecdotal account. Clark, in an unpublished thesis, presented only a quantified summary of the pack's hierarchical relationships, and Haber described his interpretation of a pack's social hierarchy but gave no supporting evidence. Thus, no one has quantified the hierarchical relationships in a wild wolf pack. Here, I attempt to clarify the natural wolf pack social order and to advance our knowledge of wolf pack social dynamics by discussing the alpha concept and social dominance, and by presenting information on the dominance relationships among members in free living packs. Methods. This study was conducted during the summers of 1986 to 1998 on Ellesmere Island, Northwest Territories, Canada. There, wolves prey on Arctic hares, Lepus arcticus, Mus oxen, Ovibos muscatus, and Peary caribou, Rangifera tarandus peary, and live far away from exploitation and persecution by humans that they are relatively unafraid of people. During 1986, I habituated a pack of wolves there to my presence and reinforced the habituation each summer. The pack frequented the same area each summer and usually used the same den or nearby dens. The habituation allowed me and an assistant to remain with the wolves daily, to recognize them individually, and to watch them regularly from as close as 1 meter. We noted each time a wolf submitted posturally to another wolf. Usually this deference was characterized by looking up to the mouth of the dominant animal in the active submission posture, similar to that described by Darwin for domestic dogs. Often this behavior took place as an animal returned to the den area after foraging, and sometimes the returning individual disgorged food to the soliciting wolf. Other behavior noted including pinning, or passive submission, in which the dominant wolf threatened another, which then groveled, and standing over, in which one wolf stands over another, which often lies nonchalantly, but in a few cases sniffs the genitals of the other. I did not consider standing over a dominance behavior. The following is a summary of generalizations documented in the previous references, together with new quantified findings. Results and discussion. Alpha status. Alpha connotes top ranking in some kind of hierarchy, so an alpha wolf is by definition the top ranking wolf. Because among wolves in captivity, the hierarchies are gender-based. There are an alpha male and an alpha female. The way in which alpha status has been viewed historically can be seen in studies in which an attempt is made to distinguish future alphas in litters of captive wolf pups. For example, it was hypothesized that the emotional reactivity of the dominant cub, the potential alpha animal, emphasis mine, of the pack might be measurably different from the subordinate individuals, and that it might be possible to pick out the temperament characteristics or emotional reactivity of potential alpha or leader wolves, emphasis mine, and of subordinates. Furthermore, under normal field conditions, it seems improbable that timid, low-ranking wolves would breed. This view implies that rank is innate or formed early, and that some wolves are destined to rule the pack, while others are not. Contrary to this view, I propose that all young wolves are potential breeders, and that when they do breed, they automatically become alphas. Even in captive packs, individuals gain or lose alpha status, so individual wolves do not have an inherent permanent social status, even though captive pups show physiological and behavioral differences related to current social rank. Secondly, wolves in captivity breed readily, and I know of no mature captive individuals that failed to breed when paired apart from a group, as would be the case if there were inherently low-ranking non-breeders. Third, in the wild, most wolves disperse from their natal packs and attempt to pair with other dispersed wolves, produce pups, and start their own packs. I know of no permanent dispersers that failed to breed if they lived long enough. Wolves do show considerable variation in dispersal age, distance, direction, and other dispersal behavior, and conceivably these are related to the intralitter variation discussed above. However, unless a maturing pack member inherits a position that allows it to breed with a step parent in its own pack, sooner or later it will disperse and attempt to breed elsewhere. Labeling a high-ranking wolf alpha emphasizes its rank in a dominance hierarchy. However, in natural wolf packs, the alpha male or female are merely the breeding animals, the parents of the pack, and dominance contests with other wolves are rare, if they exist at all. During my 13 summers observing the Ellesmere Island pack, I saw none. Thus, calling a wolf an alpha is usually no more appropriate than referring to a human parent or a doe deer as an alpha. Any parent is dominant to its young offspring, so alpha adds no information. Why not refer to an alpha female as the female parent, the breeding female, the matriarch, or simply the mother? Such a designation emphasizes not the animal's dominant status, which is trivial information, but its role as pack progenitor, which is critical information. The one use we may still want to reserve for alpha is in the relatively large wolf packs comprised of multiple litters. Although the genetic relationships of the mothers in such packs remain unknown, probably the mothers include the original matriarch and one or more daughters, and their fathers are probably the patriarch and unrelated adoptees. In such cases, the older breeders are probably dominant to the younger breeders, and perhaps can more appropriately be called the alphas. evidence for such a contention would be an older breeder consistently dominating food disposition or the travels of the pack. The point here is not so much the terminology, but what the terminology falsely implies: a rigid, force-based dominance hierarchy.